Okay, so I'm gonna talk about what happened with Laena. Um, okay, Princess Rhaenyra had been proclaimed as her father's successor. That's all consistent. There's many who still hoped that he might have a male heir, for he wasn't yet 30. So Emma dies, I'm assuming, when he's about 30. The Maester urged his grace to remarry, even suggesting a suitable choice, Lady Laena Velaryon. I have to get used to saying it the way they say it in the show. Velaryon, who had just turned 12, which was what it was in the show. A fiery young maiden, freshly flowered, Lady Laena had inherited the beauty of a true Targaryen from her mother, Rhaenys, and a bold, adventurous spirit from her father, the Sea Snake. Laena loved to fly, and had claimed for her own no less amount than Vhagar. I was really hoping that they would go into that in the show and show her claiming Vhagar. I know they just showed Aemond claiming Vhagar. That was all we get of Laena. Apparently she had already taken Vhagar when she was considered as a wife. So the timeline is going to be a little different, which I totally get, because the show wouldn't have worked on the timeline that it actually says in the book. My hair looks so bad. After Rhea dies, which it says it was an accident, it's the same thing that happened. Anyway, I can read that in another little clip. But afterwards, Daemon flew back to the Stepstones, and then to High Tide, which is the seat of the Velaryons. Valerians? Velaryon. I'm going to say Velaryon. There his eye fell upon Lord Corlys' daughter Laena, a maid of 22, tall, slender, and surpassingly lovely. And this is interesting. It says even Mushroom, who is a character who was kind of like a court jester figure. He's one of the sources for Fire and Blood. He happened to be a dwarf, and we think we might have seen him at Rhaenyra's wedding, playing the drums. We were kind of like waiting to see if that was announced as Mushroom. But it says even Mushroom was taken with her beauty, writing that she was almost as pretty as her brother, which is something that Daemon says at Rhaenyra's wedding. So that's interesting. The great mane of silver gold ringlets that fell down past her waist. Who cares if she has light or dark skin, guys? The hair is there. Like, get over it. Laena had been betrothed from the age of 12 to a son of the Sea Lord of Braavos. I think they talk about that a little bit. Something with the Sea Lord of Braavos. But the father had died before they could be wed. Lord Corlys had repeatedly postponed the wedding. Oh, because she was going to marry the son when the father died. Someone from Braavos, but that didn't happen. Okay, it says Prince Daemon fell in love with Laena. The singers would have us believe. Daemon confronts the son that Laena is technically betrothed to, mocked him to his face so savagely the boy had no choice but to call him to defend his words with steel. Armed with Dark Sister, the prince made short work of his rival and wed Lady Laena Velaryon a fortnight later. Prince Daemon knew his brother would not be pleased when he heard of his marriage. The prince and his new bride took themselves far from Westeros soon after the wedding, crossing the narrow sea on their dragons. Some say they flew to Valyria, despite the curse that hangs over Valyria because of the Doom, which is never really defined as far as I know. Mushroom himself reports this as facts. But we have abundant evidence that the truth was less romantic. Prince Daemon and Lady Laena flew first to Pentos. The Pentoshi feared the growing power of the Triarchy, which is the Stepstone situation, and saw Daemon as a valuable ally. From there, they crossed the disputed lands to Old Volantis, where they enjoyed a similar warm welcome. Then they flew up to Royn to visit Qohor and Norvos. Qohor and Norvos, I believe, are the tapestries that Alicent talks about in episode 4 when Daemon comes back from the Stepstones. I think it's episode 4. The Dragon Riders were once again in Pentos when Lady Laena learned she was with child. Okay, so they were in Pentos like the show has. Going back just one sentence, everywhere they went, however, huge crowds turned out for a glimpse of Vhagar and Caraxes. Of course, Caraxes is much smaller than Vhagar. I'm kind of sad that they cut out everything with Laena and Vhagar, except one flying scene and her death. Daemon and his wife settled in a manse outside the city walls as a guest of a Pentoshi magister until such time as the babe was born. Then it talks about Rhaenyra again. Okay, so AC is Aegon's conquest in the timeline of House of the Dragon, or Fire and Blood. Everything that happened before the conquest has that notated. I think it's BC, before the conquest. And then afterwards is AC, and all of the Targaryen kings and people have set dates that they reigned from. So it's a little easier to tell the timeline in the books. They kind of hand-waved it in the show, but it says in 116 AC, so 116 years after the conquest, Laena gave birth to twin daughters, Daemon's first true-born children. Daemon named the girls Baela after his father and Rhaena after her mother. The babes were small and sickly, but both had fine features, silver white hair, and purple eyes. Here's where things change. When they were half a year old and stronger, the girls and their mother sailed to Driftmark, while Daemon flew ahead with both dragons. Sorry, there was an Amazon truck outside. So they went back to Driftmark. The Amazon truck's backing up. Okay. So apparently they didn't stay. I mean, I already knew that Laena didn't die on Pentos. I actually forgot they went to Pentos. I thought they just went back to Driftmark. But they did go to Pentos, a couple other places, back to Pentos, and then now they went back to Driftmark with their kids. Daemon sent a raven to his brother in King's Landing, informing his grace of the birth of his nieces, and begging leave to present the girls at court to receive his royal blessing. Though his hand and small council argued against it, Viserys consented. What a surprise. Daemon is a father now. He told Grand Maester Mellows he will have changed. Thus were the sons of Baelon Targaryen reconciled for the second time. Okay. They're going back and forth between Daemon and Rhaenyra in the book here. Well, Rhaenyra misliked Alicent. She became fond and more than fond, I don't know what more than fond means here, but of her good sister, Lady Laena. And this is what I remembered. With Driftmark and Dragonstone so close. So Laenor and Rhaenyra were on Dragonstone. Daemon and Laena were on Driftmark, and apparently those are pretty close together. There's no map in this book, so I have to find another map to look. They became friends. So they oft visited with the princess. This is page 378. And her with them. Many a time they flew together on their dragons, and the princess she-dragon Syrax produced several clutches of eggs. They betrothed Jacaerys. Are they going by? Yeah, Jacaerys. And Lucerys, because they're going by Luke. I'm assuming they're going to have a hard K there. Jacaerys and Lucerys were betrothed to Baela and Rhaena. It doesn't say which one. I don't know if they knew. And then in 119 AC, Laena was with child again. Rhaenyra flew to Driftmark to attend her during the birth. A day and a night of labor left Laena Velaryon pale and weak, but finally she gave birth to the son Prince Daemon had so long desired. But the babe was twisted and malformed and died within the hour, nor did his mother long survive him. The onset of childbed fever The Maester, sorry, at Driftmark couldn't help her. Daemon flew to Dragonstone and brought back Rhaenyra's Maester, Gerardus, but he came too late. After 3 days, Laena passed. She was 27. During her final hours, it is said, Lady Laena rose from her bed, pushed away the septas praying over her, and made her way from her room, intent on reaching Vhagar, that she might fly one last time before she died. Her strength failed her on the tower steps, and it was there she collapsed and died. Daemon carried her back to her bed, and Mushroom says Rhaenyra sat vigil with him over Lady Laena's corpse and comforted him in his grief. Comforted in his grief leaves things a little up in the air now that we've seen episode 7. Is it 7 already? Oh my gosh. 7. Wow. Okay. So that's kind of it for Laena. I wish we had gotten a little more of her before she died. I was looking forward to seeing the friendship between her and Rhaenyra. But I guess they wanted to hurry up and get Rhaenyra and Daemon married, so they just kind of pushed forward. But yeah, that's the story of Laena Velaryon from Fire and Blood Part 1. I wanted to add something here because before Fire and Blood came out, this book came out, The World of Ice and Fire. I didn't think at the time that it had much of interest other than just these gorgeous drawings. But I wasn't as into the lore and everything. This goes all the way back to the giants and the children of the forest. I found something about Laena in this book too, so I thought I'd put it here. Unfortunately, all they say about her is that, at least here, it says 4 tragedies in 120 AC. Is that the same number as in the other one? 4 tragedies in this year. The first of these tragedies was the death of Laena Velaryon, Laenor's sister, because it was talking about Rhaenyra. Once considered as a bride for Viserys, she had wed Prince Daemon in 115 after his wife, Lady Rhea, died while hunting in the Vale. Laena gave Daemon 2 twin daughters, Baela and Rhaena. The King Viserys at first had been angered by it, which took place without his leave. He allowed Daemon to present his daughters at court in 117 AC, against the objections of his small council. In 120 AC, Laena was brought to bed again with child and delivered a son. It says almost the same exact thing. This is page 71 of World of Ice and Fire, and it says, what was drawn from her womb was twisted and deformed, however, and died shortly after birth. Laena too soon expired. At the bottom, it says, before her marriage to Daemon, Laena had been betrothed for almost a decade to the son of a former Sea Lord of Braavos. Daemon saw her surpassingly lovely and spoke in private with the Sea Snake about marriage. Soon after, Prince Daemon provoked her Braavosi betrothed so mercilessly that the youth challenged him to single combat. So ended the Sea Lord's wastrel son? Wastrel. I think that might be all it says. She's not even in the, glossary. Like Laenor is. I had to look under V for Velaryon. This is obviously very brief history, but it goes all the way from the beginning to the end of the world, basically, in the Westerosi Song of Ice and Fire universe. I didn't go all the way back to, Laena's birth, but I don't even know if it says anything other than she was born. So, that's all that was said about Laena.